You've worked incredibly hard on your course inside of your business, and now somebody is taking your content and using it outside of the context of that course. Let's talk to everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer to find out what steps to take to make sure that you are protecting the course that you are creating. And if you have not watched our last episode all about copyright protection on your course, watch that one first and then come back here.
My name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
We recently had a conversation all about why it's so important to copyright protect the courses that we're creating as entrepreneurs. But what happens if somebody is going to steal part of or all of our course and use it under their own name? Tony, what steps do we need to take to make sure we're protecting our content?
So first thing is going to be the same thing that I said when we previously talked about in another video about copyright infringement, which is the first thing is to not panic. I think it's very, very easy to get flustered and worried and anxious that somebody else is using your copyrighted work. So I think going into the resolution phase of this infringement is going to require a clear and level-headed head. So not letting emotions get to you is going to be a paramount part of this process. Then after you've taken a moment to take a sip of coffee, have your Zen moment of Zen, then this is when you have to really be, do your part and enforce your rights. So in our previous video, we talked about copyright registration of that course. The reason why that is so important in this specific phase is when somebody infringes on your copyright, you cannot pursue a copyright infringement claim unless you have your work registered in the Copyright Office. This is just a flat out rule. Case precedent has made this very clear. Statutory language is very, very clear on this front. So you have to do everything in your power to make sure that the moment that you're creating a copyrighted work, or once you're done with it, before you even launch it, just get that work registered in the Copyright Office and you'll be done with that. Because now, if you notice that somebody else, another course creator or the content creator or somebody in sales, what have you, it has made some type of course that is identical to what you've created, now you can begin what I would say is the first step, the mitigation phase. So you would start by sending out, what would look like a cease and desist letter to the infringer and say, hey, listen, I noticed that you have a course that is on a similar subject matter as mine. And so I noticed that the material you have there is the same. The information you've laid out, even the animations or certain graphics you have are near identical to what I've got. My work, my course is registered in the U.S. Copyright Office as of blah, 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 blah date with the registration number included in that letter. And now you can go to the infringer and say, please cease and desist from all use of this course of 30 days from receipt of this letter. And if not, then I will have to escalate this to an actual infringement claim. Now, that type of letter is usually executed by a lawyer. So going to a lawyer is important in this part of the process. I'm only just laying out what the language would be, just so that if you are a course creator and you've been a victim of infringement, at least you would know what the standard language would look like. So that type of letter would be sent to somebody that infringes. And if basically they don't honor it, then that's when the infringement claim becomes, it's escalated from the kind olive branch cease and desist all the way now to a full-blown lawsuit. Now, what's interesting is that, well, there are a lot of interesting dynamics to this whole conversation, but one could be primarily, where are you going to take this in terms of like escalating, right? Because yes, you can take this to federal court where the max damages that you can pursue are $150,000 in damages. But in the same vein, you could also go to the Copyright Claims Board, which is a new division of the Copyright Office that was just launched. It's their form of a small claims court where you can pursue two claims that are each of value up to $15,000, so a max value of $30,000. So if you notice that if you somebody infringe on your copyrighted work, you could pursue a claim, max of $15,000, and it could be a quick, efficient process as opposed to federal court. Now, we don't really have a timetable about the Copyright Claims Board because it's fairly new, so we don't know like the waiting period and all that. But I would bet my bottom dollar that it's got to be a lot quicker than federal court, because from start to finish, a federal case discovery, the discovery phase of a federal lawsuit could take on average 8 months to maybe even a year and a half. It could be a very, very lengthy time. And this is just, we're not even equating, adjournments or motions that are filed throughout this process. The discovery phase is just a lengthy part of the process before you even go to court. So I think if it's a matter of how quickly or how efficiently do you want this pursued. The other complexity to this is, let's say that the infringer, the person that has infringed on your course, has been making money off of what you created. Now, the question is, does your cease and desist letter demand payment from, like, back pay from all the money that infringer made from your course? Or do you just jump straight into the lawsuit? So I think when it's all said and done, going to a lawyer and consulting with them and asking for their candid advice, what they would do, and having every last receipt, screenshot, every part of this, every last ounce of information to help pave the way for what this process is going to look like is going to be really, really, really important. So, I think doing it on your own, don't be a superhero. Not everybody's a Marvel superhero. You gotta be smart. And, I think thinking smart is above all the most important thing here. So going to a lawyer, asking for their advice, asking for their counsel, laying out every information, they will help herd you along the way and get you to what could be a solution. Could it lead to a settlement? Yes. And if so, that's great, because now you don't have to go to a full-blown lawsuit, go to court, and so on and so forth. But if it does get to that phase, the lawyer is there to be your advocate. So they're going to advocate for your rights and enforce your rights under copyright law, because it's very clear. That's the whole essence of copyright infringement. Somebody that created copyrighted material, their rights have been breached, and the infringement claim, the essence of it is you're proving that you had a valid copyright and one of your rights exclusively under 17 USC 106, the Copyright Act. Those rights, whether it's the reproductive right, the public display right, the public performance right, whatever it is, one of those rights or multiple rights have been infringed on by that infringer. And the infringer had access to that original work, and they created something that was substantially similar, maybe even near identical to what you created. That's the prima facie case for a copyright infringement lawsuit, and that could be the road to victory for you as the content creator, as the copyright owner of what you rightfully created.
So making sure that we are protecting our courses, our next best step when something like this happens is to find a good lawyer who's going to be able to guide us along on this journey and make sure that we are giving them the information that they need to be able to pursue a potential lawsuit over this. And before you go to that lawyer, you want to make sure you have all of your paperwork and receipts together to easily give them access to that information to move it along a little bit faster so that they don't have to ask you to go find all these things. So if this is happening to you, make sure you have all of your receipts together and then find the lawyer that's going to suit your situation best and go on that journey with them to getting compensation for whatever it is you might be going through at this time. For more questions, drop those down below, and you can hang out with Tony on his social media where he is constantly helping us to stay legally protected in the entrepreneurial space. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor. And obviously, I've covered a bevy of different topics on IP and anything related to this field. So if you have any questions on a video that I've posted or anything of that sort, you can always reach out to me in the DMs.
Hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss out on upcoming episodes to help you navigate the world of social media and make more money online while you're spending less time doing it. If you have questions on this topic, drop them down below, and Tony will be back for more episodes. We're recording episodes weekly, so if you have legal questions in your business, now is the time to drop those, or questions on navigating social media. We want to make sure we get those answered for you as well. We'll see you in the upcoming episode.